I would tell them that they've smothered me. I'm completely unprepared to be a person because they've held me back from so many experiences that people my age should have.
I can see where your anger and frustration is coming from. You feel that you've missed out on a lot of life experiences that like every coming of age movie would tell you need in order to come of age in America.
I grew up with really, really strict parents. If anything, I just kind of grew to resent my parents for that because I had no freedom whatsoever.
My mom always made fun of me in high school because I would mention well, so-and-so is going, and if so-and-so jumps off a cliff, are you gonna jump off? No.
I never held any birthday parties or had sleepovers, and I feel like a lot of that is just part of growing up, and I feel like I missed out on a lot.
A parent's love should not be conditional, especially not conditional on who I love.
One of my best friends came out to me a couple weeks ago, and she's going through the same thing. As soon as she told me, the first thing she said was that I'm not telling my parents, and I said, I get it.
You deserve that love from them, but if they don't give it to you, it's not a fault on your part, it's a fault on theirs.
I know you guys are proud of me, but sometimes it feels like nothing I do is ever good enough for you. I'm constantly pushing myself to be a perfect daughter rather than living for myself. Oh man, I know how that feels. To constantly wanting to prove yourself to people you love and people who you care about. I do that all the time.
Parents will project their own hopes and dreams onto their kids. And you see that a lot when parents are we want you to be a lawyer or a doctor or a child actor. There's that tension of, do I owe it to my parents to fulfill that hope and that dream that they had? Or do I owe it to myself to pursue my own path?
I resent being parentified. They don't recognize that it was not okay to have me raise my siblings from such a young age. I was actually the one being raised by my sister for the first 4 years of my life. I hope that your younger siblings realize this and have shown you their gratitude and their appreciation and love for you.
The biggest thing is making sure that children, when they come into the world, feel like they are wanted and that they belong. So when people aren't ready for children and then have them anyway, it makes things harder for everyone.
I definitely hold some resentment towards my parents, and that's why I go to therapy. It's honestly really exhausting to hold that much anger and pain and confusion and frustration within you. So if there's any way or anything you can do in order to kind of let go, I recommend it.
I wish they better understood that sometimes I just need to make a mistake for myself to really understand why it's a mistake. A lot of people out there who have parents that have very high expectations of them and want deep down for their kid to just do well, but they're so scared of their kid failing and making a mistake that they just can't help themselves to step in.
Making bad decisions isn't really the end result. I think it's part of the process of figuring out who you are and what you do in this world.
I'd want them to know that I'm not a little girl anymore. I'm so much more capable than they think I am. Just because I cry when they confront me doesn't make me a child. It means I'm human.
I cry when I'm confronted. If someone confronts me, I just start crying.
My mom tells me all the time that, it's weird seeing us grow older and more mature and more responsible.
I think what being a parent does is you feel like you're needed, and you've got to literally care for another human being, because that's your responsibility as a parent. And as that responsibility dims and they literally just need to let us live our lives, I think it's very scary.
In recent years, something I've learned about my relationship with my mother is that respect and understanding are two different things.
There's a difference between showering your parents with love and adoration and just kind of keeping your distance, but still associating with them.
At the end of the day, you determine who you let into your life. And if they can't be there for you when you're, at your most honest, then it's up to you whether or not you decide to let them in.
My parents are both immigrants who lived in poverty growing up. I wish I could hear more about their childhoods, but it's hard for them to talk about.
I want to know the hopes and dreams they had for themselves that they never shared with me.
Yeah, I've noticed with my parents, sometimes it's hard to get details about their childhood. So I think it's one of those things where you can't push it too much because you never know what kind of pain is there.
For my dad, at least, he was an artist in China, and he grew up doing all the artsy stuff, like hanging out with friends and slam poetry. When we go home, my mom's kind of known in her hometown, just for everything she accomplished. Parents aren't just our parents. They have these whole identities outside of just being parents to us.
I would say that I'm sorry for not appreciating them more growing up, and that I wish I was able to express how much they mean to me now.
A lot of human nature is wanting to do some grand gestures, or constantly waiting for the right time, when this is a thing where any time is the right time.
I appreciate that they gave me a home because I'm adopted. But I didn't have the best relationship growing up with them. You can have food and people to call parents and a bed to sleep in, but in the end, if sometimes it's just a place you're staying in and not really a home, and a home is what I would have appreciated more, since we're using that word.
As we get older into college, we're supposed to be pushed out of the nest, right? But I think it's sometimes hard for our parents to let us go and let us leave the nest.
I will be a nervous wreck when I'm a parent. That's just what's gonna happen. If I had a kid who was going off, who I raised and who lived in my household for 18 years, then suddenly all of a sudden they're gone, I would be an anxious, nervous wreck. All the time. I think I would call them every day. I'm pretty sure they would have to block me in their contacts.
For me, I'm trying to make an active effort to not 20 years from now look back and regret the way that I treated them. It's never too late to let them know that you appreciate what they've done.